I thought this was interesting. A recent study showed that women are at their peak of unhappiness at 47.2 years of age. So maybe the midlife crisis is a real thing, and perhaps there is a disparity between how we expected our lives to play out versus our own reality. And we can't overlook the physical changes women experience as perimenopause and menopause bring on their own challenges for mental well-being. It's no secret. We are living longer than ever, and women are in the driver's seat well into our 70s and beyond. Let me tell you, it is never too late, and you are never too old to build a fulfilled life that brings you happiness, self-worth, and satisfaction. And it's okay to seek a Sherpa to guide you along that journey. Health, wellness, career, relationships, and everything in between. We're removing the taboo from what really matters in midlife. I'm your host, Michelle Folan, and this is Asking for a Friend. Welcome to the show, everyone. My guest today is Kwavi, and Kwavi is on a mission to help women get unstuck from the rut that keeps them from making the most out of these midlife years and living their true purpose. She wants women to be seen well into their 60s and 70s and beyond. And Kwavi reminds us all that it's never too late to step into our light and design a life we have thought impossible. Welcome to the show, Kwavi.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so glad you just go by your first name because I would have a really hard time pronouncing your last name.
That's fine. I would have taught you how to do it, but I normally go by my first name.
Great to have you here. Before we get started, I would love for you to tell the listeners a little bit more about you and where you're from, where you went to school, and all that good stuff.
My name is Kwavi, and born in England. Moved to Nigeria when I was about 8 to do middle and high school. After middle and high school, moved back to England to do college. I did a computer science degree. After graduation, moved to Boston for work. While I was in Boston, I decided to go to Atlanta to watch Nigeria play in the Olympics. And I was like, wow, there's a place like this? I had so much fun. I moved back to Boston for 2 weeks and then moved to Atlanta, and I've been there ever since. And I absolutely love it.
That's brave.
I know. But when you're younger, you do things like that. I was single.
And that's where you met your husband?
That's interesting you should say that. I always tell people I met my husband at the airport. When I say that, people are like, what does that mean? Well, someone had introduced us. So we were talking on the phone for a month, and then we finally decided to meet each other so we'd never seen each other. We didn't know what each other looked like.
Oh, wow.
Our friends just thought we'd be a good match. And then after speaking with him after the first day, we hit it off. And I said, you know what? We're not sending pictures. We have a great connection. Let's just not send pictures. Let's just wait till when we see each other. When I think about it, I'm like, wow, that could have been a disaster. I could have seen him at the airport. I'm like, no. But it worked out.
Well, sometimes they'll send you a picture and it's totally false advertising too.
Exactly. I was like, no, we're just going to ride this wave. We're having a great connection. And to be honest, we actually fell in love with him over the phone. So we're like, okay, let's just see how this turns out. And it worked out. Amazing.
That's romantic.
I think so too.
You were friends first and then...
Yeah. And then we met. It was like, yes. That was nice.
That's neat. I am curious how culturally it was starting your life in Great Britain and then moving to Nigeria with your family.
It was definitely a culture shock, but there were parts of it that I loved. I loved when moving to Nigeria, just seeing a lot of people that looked like me. That was like, oh, great. That's nice. But I did stand out. I stood out because of the way I spoke. As a child, you don't know any. You just speak. And then they're like, why are you speaking like that? It dawned on me that I stood out based on my accent. I did everything I could to switch. At school, I'd speak a different way, and at home, I'd speak differently. Because as a child, you don't want to stand out. And even as humans, generally, we don't like to stand out. We like to be part of the tribe and the crowd. But now I'm completely the opposite. I don't care if I stand out. It's okay. I can stand out.
That's nice. And as we get in midlife, that's what we hope for all women, that we stop caring about that stuff to be an individual and embrace that. Tell me a little bit about your path.
Hmm.
You took a little bit of a circuitous route in where you are today.
Yes. Went to college. I was in college for computer science. My goal was, okay, I finished that. I'm going to work in some corporation. That was what I had in mind. While I was in college, though, I remember watching a documentary on TV, and I remember it vividly because there were only two or three channels at the time. And it was a documentary about food and how it gets to our table. It talked about cattle and meat and how it get. I was like, whoa, 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 this is what they do right there on the spot. I was like, nope, not eating meat anymore. Went on this whole path of wasn't eating meat, chicken, and I just overhauled my eating habits completely. People began to notice. I'd have my friends and college, they're like, oh, so what are you doing? You look different, your skin, and you just seem very different. They all wanted to be part of it. I'd make little meal plans, and it would work for them. But I didn't think of it as a business. I just thought of it, it was something I loved and I could help them do. Push that to the side, and along the way, I kept helping people. When I hit my early 40s, I just said, you know what? This is something I'm really passionate about. Go ahead and do it. Went back to school, became a certified health coach, and then I also went back to school and became a certified life coach. You really specialize in helping women lose weight, and women specifically over the age of 40. I did it in such a way where I didn't want women just following a plan. I also wanted them to rechange the way they think and their whole relationship with food from the aspect of their brain. I just enjoy that. Probably in my late 40s, I would say maybe 47, 48, gearing up to my big 50. I was getting excited about my birthday. To me, that's a big milestone. I was excited. I decided to create a survey and send it out to women who are already in their 50s to get a sense of maybe some advice from them because they were already there, like, okay, tell me what's going on. What do I need to prepare for? I was excited about getting the responses, but when I started to read the responses, I was very disappointed. I mean, I was heartbroken because 80% of the women describe themselves as invisible. And I was like, whoa, invisible? How can that be? And then I decided to consult with my trusted friend Google, typed in the words invisible woman. Right after that came up invisible woman syndrome. I started reading that. As I read the words on the screen, I just had this voice say, Kwavi, you can be the difference. You can be the change. And I'm like, yeah, I can do this. I started slowly but surely switching from being a weight loss coach and specifically became a life coach for women in their 50s. Now, I remember when I was 49, I created this summit and invited different women to talk about things ranging from skin, your eyes, sex, all kinds of areas that pertain to women 45 and over, because I really wanted to be able to understand what are we facing? What are the challenges? How can I help them? Right after that, I decided, okay, you know what? I'm going to become a life coach for women in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and beyond. That's how my path started.
That is so neat. But I think there's also that weight loss component that never goes away.
Of course.
Body image, the fact that you have that as a base going into this business, I think is super helpful. I want everyone to know, because you can't see Kwavi right now, when she first reached out to me talking about midlife women, and I'm like, what does she know about midlife women? She can't be older than 35 years old. Whatever you're doing, keep doing because you're phenomenal. And maybe we need to talk offline about this vegetarian diet you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you.
As you've started coaching midlife women, what are some of those aha moments that you had along the way?
One of the things I realized when speaking with them was a lot of them felt that they were not enough, regardless of what they brought to the surface. And that's the interesting thing about speaking with women. When you first start to speak with them, they're very surface level. And that's why I love coaching, because they'll give out, like, this is what's going on. And then when you begin to speak with them more and ask more questions, you begin to realize that, wow, there's a lot more going on. I would say probably 80 to 90% of the time, it stems from this thought that they have, that they've held on to, that they're not enough. The beautiful thing about that, though, it's a thought. It's something that can change. And it's not easy because it's something they've had that with them for a very long time. But being able to change that and then being able to see that, listen, this is just a thought that you've held on to. This thought doesn't have to be true if you don't want it to be. You have the power to change that. For a lot of them, they're like, oh, really? They don't even realize that. When you see the expression on their face when they get, they're like, yeah, oh, wow. I tell them, we don't have to change it right now. I just want you to be aware of it. That alone is powerful enough for them. They're like, oh, you're right. I mean, I've done all these different amazing things. Yeah. I just love seeing that for women. I just love seeing them light up. It's a beautiful thing to see.
You had mentioned too that having women actually list out all the things that they've done.
We don't do that. I'm all about celebrating all the wins, big ones, small. Listen, if you're cooking and all of a sudden you just nail a recipe, that's a win. You wake up in the morning and you're able to get up. That's a win. Not everyone's able to get out of bed. Sometimes you want to lay in bed all day. Like being able to just say, okay, no, I'm just going to get up today. I don't feel like it. That's a win. We need to celebrate all. And there's actually brain science behind it. They did some research in Harvard about this, of how the brain loves accomplishment. We need to say it out loud. We need to list them so that we know for ourselves. And women, we're notorious. We don't celebrate our wins. We need to celebrate them all the time.
We can't minimize the fact that we've raised kids. We've maybe cared for our ill or aging parents. There's all kinds of things that we've had to do in this life that we don't always get a pat on the back, but we should be patting ourselves on the back.
Yeah, be your own cheerleader all day, every day.
Something else you and I talked a little bit about was this phase of life doesn't have to be starting a podcast or starting a coaching business. It can be going out and getting involved in a philanthropy that you're super excited about. Maybe it's politics. Maybe you want to go volunteer for your favorite candidate. It can be anything like that.
Anything that lights you up. See, and that's the thing. It's personal to you. We're at an age now where we don't have to do things our parents want us to do. We don't have to do things that our spouses said we have to do or the job. This is our time to decide, or even what our kids want us to do. This is our time to decide. Maybe there was something you loved to do as a child. Maybe you love roller skating. You're like, I'm going to start doing that again. It could be anything that just brings you so much joy. I tell women, I want women to wake up excited about life. And that's determined by them. They get to decide what that is. What is it that lights you up? I want women to be excited all the time about life.
I do have friends that are on the verge of retiring.
Mm-hmm.
I think, you may be on this earth for another 30 years.
Yes.
Is playing golf 5 times a week or playing pickleball going to sustain you? Is that going to keep you happy into your later years?
Yeah. Some of you, that might be the case, but for some of you, that might not be. And if it isn't, let's explore what that is for you.
How has coaching impacted your own personal journey?
Oh, my goodness. Coaching has made me evolve into a different human. I think everyone needs to have a coach because coaching allows you to think in a very different way. Without coaching, you're just going through life almost like sleepwalking. But coaching allows you to explore the endless possibilities that you can't even imagine are available out there until you start to ask yourself those questions. I self-coach myself, but I also have a coach. Ever since I found out about coaching, I'm like, oh, okay, this is it. It helps you evolve. That's how you change, because if not, you're almost like doing the same thing over and over again. But why would you want to do that when you have the option of doing something different? Listen, there's no guarantee that the new thing you do, the outcome may not be what you expect, but this is the thing that you'll always get. You'll always be changed by it. Your brain has changed significantly because you've done something new. And to me, that's a win every single time. That's a win.
I never thought about the coach having a coach, but it does make sense. I advocate on the show. I'll say it all the time. People are going to get tired of it, but it is okay to say, I need some help with this. Whether it's coaching or therapy, it's okay. Go. Talk to somebody that's totally unbiased and not in your circle.
That's the key, because you can speak to a friend, you can speak to your mom, but when you speak to a coach or a therapist, depending on what you're going through, it's a very different space, because most times your friends or spouse or kids or parents, they're either going to support you or they're going to have a very completely different view. But with a coach, They hold space for you. They want what's best for you. And not only that, they're going to empower you to find the answers for yourself. A coach doesn't tell you what to do. They just help uncover the options that are available to you, and you come up with the answer for you. And it's so empowering when you think about it that way.
My next question for you, Kwavi, is what are some of your success stories with clients?
I will share this lady that I just absolutely love. So she came to me last year. She was a principal. She had retired and she had decided that she was going to take care of her mom. And she was looking forward to this phase with her mom. And her mama died before she expected.
Yeah.
She was heartbroken. She was like, okay, so what's next for me? I remember when she came to me during our consult call, she was in tears. She's like, Kwavi, I have grandkids, but I don't want to be a stay-at-home grandmother. I want to do more than just that. I'm like, okay, let's work on what you want to do. She didn't know what she wanted to do because she had never asked herself that question. We mapped out all these different things because I said, okay, you know what? I'm going to give you some time to think about that because I know you just never really spent enough time to even figure that out. She started a business. She lost weight. The other day, her husband was like, whatever you're doing, just keep doing it. He's seeing this other side of her. She says, I'm excited about life. And she says it all the time. She's like, I can't believe it. When I first met you, I was crying all the time.
Oh.
Now I'm just excited. And one of the things I'm an advocate for, and I share with all my clients, is I want them to always start from the foundation of loving themselves. You have to start from that. You have to start from that. She says now she actually understands that. She loves herself so much. That's why she's able to do all these different amazing things that she's doing. She's online now. She's like, I can't believe I could even do a video online. I'm in my 60s doing all these different things. I'm just so excited for her life because it has changed dramatically from when I first started working with her. And I'm so excited for her.
That's fantastic. Love it. What are the mistakes some women make in midlife?
One of the main mistakes that we make is we feel it's too late for us. Who said? Is there some billboard somewhere that says that? It's too late for you. Once you hit 50, your life is over. Why are we entertaining that thought as truth? It's not. It's not true. I tell women like, no, next, what else? Why are you not doing what you're doing? It's not because it's too late, because we know it's not. Just believing that, I'm like, no. Another one is ignoring our superpowers. Do you know what our superpowers are? Our wisdom and experience. You know what you can do with that? I understand that as we get older, we have challenges and obstacles, but if you sit down with yourself, you can figure it out. We have done so much for other people in our life, especially if you're a mother. I know you've done so much for your kids. You've done a lot. Sometimes you look back and you're like, I did that? How about we switch that and do that for ourselves? We deserve this. Why not? Figuring it out. Don't just say, okay, no, I don't know. And that's another mistake we make. We just use I don't know as a blanket response to things. No. Rather than saying that, figure it out. And if you did know, what would it be? What would the response be? When our kids come to us for questions, we never say, oh, I don't know. We don't do that. We figure it out. Even when we don't know the answer, we figure it out.
That or we just make it up.
We make it out or give an answer and then go back and figure it out. We do that. How about we do that for ourselves?
That's a great point, Kwavi, because if you ask a lot of women, and I put myself in this camp, what would really make you happy right now? Oh, I don't know. We all do it.
Yeah. Come on, let's be honest with ourselves. If we were given the opportunity to just do whatever, what would really make us happy and excited?
Think big.
I know it's a scary question because I think what happens to us as women, we go straight to, what if it doesn't work out? Like, no, that's not the question. The question is, what would get you excited? Like, what would make you happy?
Yeah. All right. I want to talk about your book.
Okay, yes.
When did you decide to write a book?
Okay, let me tell you when I decided 15 years ago.
And it took you how long?
Probably about 12, 13 years.
It's not like you weren't doing other things like raising 2 kids.
I know. I decided during the pandemic, I'm like, Kwavi, this is it. It's going to happen. And I did it. But this was something that happened that I still find fascinating. I'm sharing this because someone listening might be going through this. After I wrote the book, this is me all excited about writing a book. I wrote the book and then my publisher told me, okay, your book's released now. It's on Amazon. You can order a copy and all of that. A month later, she came to me and she said, we're having this book fair and would love for you to read your book in a video and send it to us so that we can use it. And because it was during COVID times, it was like, okay, let's do an online book review. I was like, I don't have my book. She's like, why don't you have your book? I said, I haven't ordered it. And she says, why? I'm like, this is when it dawned on me that the reason why I hadn't ordered it was because I was going through imposter syndrome. I had never been an author before. It was just scary. I couldn't even order the book. Then she asked me the question, why did you decide to write the book? As soon as she said that, all the fear was lifted. I was like, I wrote this book because I wanted women to fall in love with themselves one question at a time. And I wanted women to step into their boldness and be able to do whatever it is that they please so they can live these next years as their best life. I was going on and on and on. Right after that, finished the phone call, I ordered my book. I did a book launch party. But it was interesting. For a month, my book was on Amazon and I didn't do anything. I didn't tell anyone.
Oh,
Didn't tell anyone.
I'm sorry, but I think of the Hollywood stars that never watch one of their movies. I don't even particularly like listening to my own podcast just because I pick it apart. But would you do me a favor? Would you explain what imposter syndrome is? Because I've used that term before. I should probably explain what that is.
Imposter syndrome is when you go through a stage where you're doing something, and most times it's something new. It's almost like trying on an outfit that doesn't quite fit. And then you kind of quickly take it off. And that's how I felt. I'm not an author. I'm a coach. I can do the coaching thing all day. But I'm not an author. People are not going to like my book. I don't know if I wrote the right... This is after spending all the time writing the book. And all of a sudden, I'm like, no, that's not me. I'm just going to sit in this corner. No one's going to know about the book. We're not going to talk about it. That's what imposter syndrome does to you. It makes you think you're not capable of being this next version of whoever you're supposed to be. It's like, oh, no, you can't do that. It overwhelms you in a way where you don't want to talk about it at all. No, that's not me. I mean, I was like, whoa, it was heavy. I didn't tell a soul like, oh, no, no one can know that I'm an author because that's not who I am. But the thing is, we do new things. When you first become a mother, no one tells you, you just become a mother. That's it. You can't say, okay, I'm a mother now and I have to step back. And it's challenging. I mean, it can be hard. Women have postpartum depression because it's difficult. It's challenging. I felt like, oh no, I can't do this. And because I had an escape route, for me, an escape route was not saying anything. And I just sat there. I didn't say anything until my publisher called me.
Yeah.
We go through that constantly with different things that we do. If you're changing careers, because I know a lot of women at this age, they decide to retire and start something new. This new thing that they're doing. I have a friend who is a physician and she's becoming a coach. For a long time, it was a struggle for her because she's like, oh, I can do the doctor thing all day, but this new coach thing, I don't know. Am I doing it right? It shows up in different ways.
It sure does. It's really overcoming that self-doubt that we have and also the perfectionism.
Of course. Oh, yeah.
It's that fear of failure and perfectionism.
Mm-hmm.
We want it to be perfect. And I always say that if we wait for something to be perfect or the timing to be perfect, we'll never do it.
You never do it. I always tell my clients the same thing. Please, if you're waiting for that, it's not going to happen. Let's just go ahead and do it. Let's do it imperfectly, and it will all work out.
The other thing you brought up, which made me smile, was that it wasn't until the pandemic that you actually put real pen to paper to get the book written. I have to tell you, doing this podcast, that got me started thinking about doing this. But the podcast also has changed the life trajectory of a lot of my guests on the show.
Love that.
Have you seen that with other people?
Yeah. Let me add one piece to the book because sometimes we think, oh, you can just write the book and it will just work out. Let me tell you what happened to me. When I wrote the book, I had given myself 3 months. I'm like, okay, Kwavi, just focus on it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to have it out in 3 months, tops 4 months. Started writing the book, and then we decided we're going to sell our home. So that put me back a little bit. I'm like, okay, I can do that. I'm like, all right.
Nothing like selling a house and writing a book.
And this is a house we had lived in for 15 years. Can you imagine packing all that stuff? Did that. And I'm like, okay, I'm still on target somewhat. Then my husband and I got COVID. That took us out for 10 days. It was terrible. Talk about chronic fatigue. I was tired all day. And that's actually how I knew I had it because I was like something's up. I'm always energized. I'm always going. That chronic fatigue got me. You know what? I'll add an extra month. And a month after that, my dog died.
Oh,
And that, I was out for a month. I'm sharing this because sometimes when you plan things, it might not quite work out the way you plan, but keep on going. The obstacles will come along and you just go over them and just find a way to get through it. And I did. It took me about 8 months eventually, but I did it.
hey, people will be writing a book for years and years and years. So the fact that you did this in 8 months, that is impressive. You have some really good reviews on your book too. Be very proud of that.
Thanks. I love the fact that I did that because it had been a thought that I had for so long. And so being able to put it out there into the world, even with my self doubt, I'm like, yes, I did it.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Will you share with us a little bit about your coaching business, how that works? You do it remote, in person?
All my coaching is done remotely. So everything is done online through Zoom. And I normally do either one-on-one coaching where some people come to me and they're like, Kwavi, I just want to work with you privately. And I do that. And I do that normally in either a 3-month container or 6 months. And that's just one-on-one, just with one person. I also have an online community called Flourish where women come in. It's like a monthly fee, and we have different themes every month where I discuss a different topic. And then there's group coaching also there. But then you're coached in front of other people, which can be very powerful because sometimes I coach someone and someone else is like, oh my goodness, that's exactly what I'm going through. I love that. We have monthly meetups. Everything is online. I started this during the pandemic. I'm really hoping that this year we can have a live event where everyone can meet themselves. For some of these women, they've been with me for more than a year, almost 2 years, and they don't know each other, but we feel like we do. It's fun. The other way I do my coaching is also through my retreats. I do retreats in different countries all over the world. I love being able to be in a space with women live, where they're away from distractions of the home. There are no kids, no spouses, no pets, no work deadlines, and they can focus just on themselves. I get a beautiful villa, always has an amazing view, private chef, and I just cater to them, giving them that space to focus on themselves. We do coaching, we do adventures, and they also have free time to do whatever they please. That's the way I work with my clients, and I absolutely love all my clients. I do.
They have to feel that energy and passion from you because it just shines through.
Thank you.
You bring your A game, I can tell, every time you interact with people. It's fabulous. I think other people might want to follow you, as I do, on social media. Where can people find you?
I'm mostly on Instagram and TikToks. On Instagram, you can find me at Kwavi, Kwav as in Victor I _TV, and TikTok with the same name at Kwavi, Kwav as in Victor I _TV as well. And then my website, which is www.kwavi, Kwav as in Victor I.com.
I will put all of that in the show notes. I'll put the title of your book. Did you mention the title of your book? I don't know if you...
Oh, I didn't actually, no. The book is called 50 Questions to Answer When You Reach 50. The book I created, as I said earlier, I wanted women to fall in love with themselves one question at a time. And so there are lots of different questions for you to answer. And as you answer them, you get to know more about who you are. It's a beautiful gift for someone, or even someone who just wants to buy a gift for themselves. It's a beautiful gift to you. I also created this book in a way where after filling out everything, you can look back and say, oh my goodness, look at all the different things I've done. It's a legacy. Your grandchildren, great-grandchildren can pick that up long after you've gone and say, oh my goodness, this is what she was all about. This is her. A lasting gift that lives long on, even after you're gone.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing all this. Thank you for sharing your light.
Oh, thank you.
You're very inspirational. Your clients are very lucky to get to work with you.
I just want to thank you for inviting me. I really, truly appreciate it.
You are so welcome. Follow Asking for a Friend on social media outlets and provide a review and share this show wherever you get your podcasts. Reviews and sharing help us grow.